Here's the unofficial amount that we raised so far. As you know, the next couple of weeks we'll have more to share with you on social media. But here it is tonight. We have raised $31,500. $31,500. Thank you very much, all. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for supporting us. And keep supporting us.
And we welcome you to another edition of This Is Wrestling. It is, well, Lee Versage, the guy who usually does This Is Wrestling and then guest stars, like major star appearance weekly on Tall Can Audio. But I'm joined now by the latest guest of Tall Can Audio and co-host of This Is Wrestling. It is Zach friggin' McGibbon. Now, Zach, before you even say hello, there's some good news and some bad news, and I'll let you ask me what you want first. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Lee. Now I'm tasked with choosing between the good news and the bad news. Let's just start with the bad news first. Let's get it out of the way.
The bad news is you took a lot of pot shots at me on Tall Can Audio, and there is... What do we call it when time goes by? You think you forget, Zach, but people don't forget.
Oh.
What they do is they pick their spot. I was going to say for vengeance, but that's a really bad, like, PLE that the WWE, like, oh, that word, I hate that word now. Zach, there will be a time and a place.
Okay.
That I have written them down. I am putting them in my memory of all of the bad things that you said. And there will come a time where you will look back and go, maybe I should not have said that. But the good news, do you want the good news?
I'll take the good news, yeah.
Of course you will.
Of course.
Because you live in Belleville.
I'm still waiting on the bad news, actually. Like, what is the bad news?
The bad news is your time will come, and it won't be pretty. The good news is, though, is that they say that any publicity is bad publicity, and you accomplished that by going on Tall Can, just your name being on there.
I see.
I mean, holy cow. I mean, that, as bad as it gets for Matt Robinson and Tall Can Audio and the brand, but good for you. You got your name on there.
Yes.
You also said my name like 14 times, which I feel like is really, really kind of you to be able to say that. Now, how are you? I know we got I won't even say our guest. We got our regular co-host.
Yeah. Contributor.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
I called him a co-host. You called him a contributor. We'll see how he feels when he comes on about the introduction from me and then the introduction from you. Mm-hmm. But it's been a good week, and I want to say I enjoyed very much, even though you took a lot of pot shots, your Tall Can Audio appearance. How was it being in the studio? And I want to know how many juicy IPAs you have had, non-alcoholic, since your time. You were either lying really well or you didn't mind the taste of an IPA non-alcoholic beer.
So since then I've had zero. It's just been the one on the Tall Can Audio podcast. It was really good. It was like a juicy, like I said, a citrusy flavor, non-alcoholic. I just had the one on the show, but it was quite good. I was thinking of like taking it with me actually at the end of the show. I thought it was very good.
Okay, so you'd be up to trying other non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah, if it had that sort of similar juicy sort of taste, I'd be all for it.
Well, I figured you would like an IPA, even though it's non-alcoholic, because I hate IPAs. They are terrible. They are the worst thing to ever come to craft beer.
Okay.
Ever. So there's no doubt that you would like it. Like I like slam dunk, mark it down. If Zach did like beer, he would like an IPA.
Well, it's all new territory for me. I'm still trying to like figure it all out. And so I figured, like I said on the show, which again, people can go and listen to a lot of rave reviews about my appearance on Tall Can Audio.
People were raving, all right.
Oh yeah. Well, some were ranting and raving. They were, as I was saying on that show, I've very rarely had a beer. Like, I think I've had one or two in my lifetime before having that IPA. So I had it and I was like, I have to go 100%. I got to be with the gimmick because we are a pro wrestling podcast after all. And what is so synonymous with pro wrestling than gimmicks? So I'm glad that they were able to supply that. Still a very new world I'm entering into. I don't know what is like passe and what is the thing when it comes to that world. I'm just drinking what's provided to me and living up to the gimmick. That's all I can really say.
Well, I will then endeavor to provide you with many different non-alcoholic beers.
Okay.
To be able to taste and see what you do like and not like, because there is a whole world out there, and I appreciate that you dug in there a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought that was good, and quite honestly, other than like the hour and a half bio that Matt Robinson did on you, which was really nice. And I got to know, like, in grade 3, what kind of ice cream you had in June and stuff like that. But I actually thought it was very well done and got to learn a lot about Zach McGibbon, even a couple of things that I didn't know.
There you go.
If you can believe it. But no, sounded fantastic, and glad that you were able to get on there and oh, do I even say this at one point? Well, we have Matt Robinson on This Is Wrestling.
Wow.
Man, I know.
I mean, I'm looking forward to that.
It's yeah. Not with his wrestling takes. I actually shudder to think that, he kept on you and like, I've never heard of chin lock wrestling. I'm like, yeah, well, nobody has, Matt, and that's fine. Okay. And you do watch every time he said, like, I just don't have 3 hours and 2 hours. I'm like, Matt, yes, you do. You actually have all day, every day, and you watch Blue Jays and you watch all these things that you don't need to watch. You need to watch professional wrestling. I thought you did a very good job on that particular program.
Thank you.
So it's nice to talk to you. We got a lot to talk about, from AEW to WWE to fighting back C4, and look who is with us. It's our other co-host of This Is Wrestling, Tanner Reil.
Wow, co-host? And I just want to wind back a couple of minutes. Zach, did you call me a contributor?
Yeah, a contributor. You
Finally,
contribute to the show.
It's about time I get some respect on this podcast. I've been called intern for 2 years. I want this documented today.
I called you
the respect I deserve.
Hold on. I called you a co-host, and he went with a mere contributor, like a token.
No, I expect that from you, Lee, because you're a professional. So okay, I get that. Right. You and I even co-hosted this show without Zach for a couple of weeks there. Is that what it took? Maybe he's feeling a little threatened. He sees me also jumping ship last week over on Locked On Senators and doing a killer job. And
I was going to flee over
to Tall Can. And
listen, that's a shameless self-promotion, and I love the fact that you have promoted the Locked On Sens. More about, I mean, you can't have a world-class top 10 goalie without Lee in his name. So Linus Ullmark was, I heard you talk about him, and I heard you talk about the Sens. Zach, a little fanboyish, but Locked On Sens is a bit fanboyish of a podcast, so I get it.
It's for the fans.
Right. It's not exactly your SummerSlam review of the Ottawa Senators.
No.
So if people are looking for that, not quite, but boy, Tanner he's rising the ranks, and
I'll tell you, it was a lot more fanboyish than if they invited me on after the 5-0 Florida Panthers loss that I went to at the end of the season. But, or if it was after game 82, but yeah,
that's okay. Things have changed. They got a new goalie. They got a new head of vice president of communications. They got a lot of things going for them.
Yeah, my old college prof.
Oh, yeah, it makes me feel so old. Ian Mendez, yes, your old college prof. Unbelievable. But, okay, so again, we got AEW, we got WWE, and people are like, okay, talk wrestling. It's a wrestling podcast. I'm like, no, I want to talk more juicy IPA non-alcoholic beers. But we will get into the wrestling, and especially Zach C4, you were there. Tanner, you were there, correct?
I was.
Both there.
And the fact that this, I don't think it is something that you can mention enough of what kind of job Mark and the rest of the crew do to be able to put on a show like this in August, hot, that building can be hot, and the people that end up coming back, and new people who come into town, and old favorites, and people that just have the respect enough and the want and the will to come back to be able to give back to cancer research. Incredible night, Zach. Why don't you start us off, and we'll get into Tanner's thoughts as well of just, what this show kind of means to the people of Ottawa.
Yeah, this is a show that they've been doing now for more than 10 years at this point, continuing to raise money for the Canadian Cancer Society. It's all done in the name of Frank Moran, who used to be a wrestler on the independent scene, who unfortunately passed away from cancer. He passed away even before the first Fighting Back show, but they continue to put together shows like this to raise money for the Canadian Cancer Society, and raising hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last decade. It truly is incredible what they've been able to put together at that venue, at that promotion, and the amount of people that want to take part and contribute. They have a lot of their long-standing traditions as part of Fighting Back, and that continued on with this show. So they even had somebody on the show from the Canadian Cancer Society talk about the different ways that the funding from the show is being used to help support different cancer research projects across Canada, and how some of that money raised from the wrestling shows have kind of contributed. So from that aspect, it was really, really cool to see all of that, and all the people that were taking part, and we saw some people kind of share some of their own personal stories when it comes to how cancer has affected them, whether it be them personally or through a family member or a friend. So it was really cool to see them come together, and it was quite the packed building, Tanner, as well, the amount of people that were there in support.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think you mentioned that, but their unofficial total for the evening, $31,000. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I believe they said over the last, this is Fighting Back 13. So over the last 12 years, over $600,000. It's insane.
Yeah.
Plus you get a phenomenal show of wrestling. They really go all out and get some bigger names on the independents, even some AEW names coming in there. And they really go all out for the show. I'd say if there's one C4 show you need to catch every single year, it's definitely this one.
Okay, so let's get into, I know Mike Speedball Bailey was back in the main event. They had a newcomer, I believe. Has Dijak ever been here before?
He has. He's been part of a tag team many years ago before he joined WWE, but he was there for the one time that I can recall.
Okay, so let's start there and work backwards. What did you guys think of the main event, Zach?
So this actually didn't end up being the main event. It ended up being, I believe, third match from the main event. So
why would that be, first of all?
Well, because the main event was for the IWTV Tag Team Championships between Fresh Air and Miracle Generation, and I'll save kind of the thoughts on that for the review, but I understood why they main evented it with that tag match. They kind of saved this match for a little bit after the intermission, and I gotta say, this was my favorite match of the night. This was such a good match. There was a lot of really good professional wrestling matches on this show, but this was my favorite. Dijak came out to work, and so did Speedball. And those two had some pretty killer spots. The one that comes to my mind immediately was the choke bomb that Dijak did to Speedball Mike Bailey from the top rope, which was a 6-site. And those two, the way that it just built and kept going, and some of the good false finishes as well. This was a really, really fun match that I highly recommend people go and check it out on IWTV whenever it hits, because this was a really fun match between the two. There was a funny moment too. I don't know if you were able to catch this, Tanner, but it was close to where I was sitting. But somebody was chanting FUT bar at him, and Dijak goes over and says, "What are you chanting?" They continue to chant "F you T-Bar." And Dijak says, "I don't even know who the F that is." Like, just to try to completely ignore T-Bar. So that got a laugh out of me. But this was a tremendous match. I highly recommend people go out and seek it, because those two, we know with Dijak, as I was watching along, I could not believe that WWE cut this guy. He was just having a tremendous performance for himself. And Speedball, obviously a tremendous wrestler in his own right. And those two had a tremendous match.
Tanner, your thoughts on that one in particular?
Yeah, I think I'll echo a lot of what Zach said there, but I think something else to point out is the first time these two ever wrestled, and we got to see it live. I think that's pretty special. But yeah, this wouldn't have looked out of place on the undercard of like any American weekly show, whether it be WWE, SmackDown, AEW, TNA, what have you. I'd be shocked if a lot of those companies aren't looking at a guy like Dijak. Obviously not the WWE with what just went down, but yeah, it was awesome. These two had some great chemistry together. Zach mentioned that choke spot. I think that was my favorite. The choke slam bomb from, I think it was the middle rope. There was one moment also where Dijak was in the corner and Bailey was like looking for a spin kick or something, and Dijak ended up doing like a discus boot. It looked very like Brody Lee to me. That was a sick spot as well. But yeah, you mentioned the T-bar spot. That was pretty funny. Yeah, overall, really good match. I think it was the strongest on the night. I think the main event might give it a bit of a run for the moment, at the end at least. But yeah, this was probably at the end of the day what I'd recommend anyone go and check out. Probably.
So spoil it. Who won?
Oh, it was Dijak.
Okay.
And yeah, I definitely would recommend people go out of their way to watch this one. Having been to every C4 show this year so far, I think it's my early match of the year contender from the promotion.
See, Zach, that is how you do an early match of the year. In the middle of August, not in January, where you come out and say, this might be my match of the year so far. When we get to December, this could be match of the year. 3 weeks into a year, this is what you do, Zach.
Well, okay. I do that for a Tokyo Dome show, and a lot of times it usually is when it comes to New Japan. Definitely not this year, though.
That's a professional in Tanner. The early review, like, it is still a little early, but he knows it's middle of August and things start to heat up September, October into the fall. So it's an early time, 7.5 months into the year, to give a match of the year thing to. Not 3 weeks. 3 days, 3 hours.
I thought Zach's match of the year was at SummerSlam. He was talking so much about it.
Oh my God.
Telling me we were waiting in line, just raving about Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan.
I feel like I've been on trial about my SummerSlam review for like 2 weeks now. And people telling me about how much I've just eviscerated the show, having to go on to Tall Can and try and defend my take as well. But I stand by it. I stand by my 3 out of 10. And I stand by it's the worst WWE PLE of the year.
Zach, it was the best PLE of the year that I didn't watch.
That explains a lot.
All right. So you mentioned Fresh Air looking for some tag team gold, and that ended up main eventing the night. Tanner, why don't you tell us about that match?
Sure. So expectations were definitely different going into this, but once it kind of got put into that main event slot, it certainly changed. The way I thought it was going to go is that maybe we were going to start seeing some dissension between Fresh Air and lead to that match that I know we've talked about a number of times on this podcast of possibly Hot Stepper versus Benito for the title. Mm-hmm. But I think once you have it in that main event slot, I was like, okay, are they actually going to do this? Are we going to get a title change here in the main event? It's a feel-good moment to end a show about cancer research. I think, that'd be nice, but at the same time, this is the IWTV Independent Wrestling Tag Team Championships. Like, this is a pretty big deal. Before it even started, they were mentioning just how long Miracle Generation held these titles. I believe it was something like a year, 6 months, 21 days. They repeated it a couple of times.
I was just going to say, they really drove that home during the in-ring announcements to try and get some heel heat.
Yeah, I was checking it actually today, and Cage Match has it listed at 541 days, but that's as of today because it hasn't aired yet. So minus about 3 days in there. So it's a pretty long reign with the belt. They're only the second champs after Violence is Forever, another big C4 tag team there. So I was really questioning whether they were actually going to do it, but these two had a great match. Miracle Generation, somewhat newish to like coming to C4. I feel like it's been in the last year or two. And they've impressed me every single time that I've seen them. Very fluid tag team. They've worked well with all the other opponents that they've had so far. And then Fresh Air being the homegrown kids that are now main eventers. It was really good. Spot of the match for me probably was the synchronized 450. It was from Benito and then one of the guys on Miracle Generation at the same time. They kind of like looked at each other from across the ring. It was like, you get down, no, you get down. And they both did it like perfectly in sync. It was incredible. Really, really good tag match. Maybe I'll say my C4 tag team match of the year to kind of tie it into the last one there.
And we do have new champions, Zach, and a feel-good moment at the end.
Yes, we do. Fresh Air getting the victory. This kind of reminded me the way that they had it main evented is like you go back to the 70s and 80s and you have your NWA World Champion or your NWA Tag Team Champions making their way into the territory, and then you get the big babyface win, the hometown team winning on their home turf against the big champion. I that's kind of what I think they were going for in that main event. It was a pretty lengthy main event as well. I think it ended up being at least over 30 minutes. But it was a really lengthy title match. And I will say at that point of the show, because this was also a really long show, and really that's one of my critiques of this, is that I think they could have shaved a couple of minutes off of the matches so that you could have a little bit more of an oomph in the main event, because by the time the show was done, we got close to midnight and I was feeling the effects of it a little bit. But having said that, I thought that the way that they worked this main event, they got the crowd into it and they built it up really well. Obviously, they wanted to make sure this was the focal point of the show. Having this big title change where the local guys beat the IWTV champions in Ottawa. And now it looks like they'll probably be traveling across some of the other different independents as for IWTV, which I think is a big thing for them. So I'm hoping that they're able to get some more bookings out of this, because they're a team to continue to keep an eye on. Obviously, we've been able to see them grow in our area. So the match itself, it was a little lengthy. I was kind of feeling it a little bit. But once we got into the real heated stretches of the match and putting a little bit more of the heat, the crowd was into it, and a big pop for the title change. And I thought this was a really fun tag match at the end of it all, and a real good feel-good moment as well to end the show.
All right, Tanner, let's go back a little bit and maybe just start now at the beginning. And we don't have to go through every match if you don't want to, but if you want to kind of go through some of the highlights of what you enjoyed at the show, because there was more than just those two matches.
For sure. I think implication wise, maybe we jump to the Rumble next, kind of the fighting back tradition here. 26 people, I believe, overall competed in it. Felt very like WWE Royal Rumble-esque, but it was very fun. A lot of the local names in there, a lot of your C4 regulars. London Lightning had a very good showing. I honestly thought he was going to take it home. Young Jay Lee was kind of the Iron Man who made it all towards the end. Evil Uno was in there. Megabyte Ronnie coming back and returning after a lengthy injury. But in the end, it came down to Young Jay Lee and Evil Uno. Evil Uno did pull out the victory there. So Evil Uno, I think, versus, of course, because the winner of this, it's been tradition, except for last year with Fawn Vertigo, which he very quickly pointed out on Twitter. The winner always gets a C4 championship match. So I think Evil Uno versus Junior Benito, it's sort of in a mentor versus student matchup. Is going to be really good down the line. But yeah, I think standouts for me, probably London Lightning, I think was Vanna Black as well, that lasted a very long time.
And got some big eliminations as well.
Right. Yeah. A few eliminations that surprised people. And then the shoulder tackle from London that sent her out was insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I appreciated that from London. We didn't need any more. We didn't need any more of her.
Yeah. London Lightning, he finished in the final three. The final four was Vanna Black, London Lightning, Myun Jae Lee, and Evil Uno. And Uno won the match, as Tanner mentioned. And so it looks like, they're going to do some sort of like teacher versus student sort of deal for the title picture. I think I was thinking there was a part of me that was thinking that London was going to win. But I think, and this is just kind of my inclination, I could be very much wrong, but with all the stuff that Uno has been able to do with the fundraising through the live streams on Twitch, I think this was also a way to kind of reward him for doing all that work for the fundraising for the Canadian Cancer Society. Plus you get a big main event you can promote between Uno and Junior Benito. So there's still time, obviously. We forget sometimes, and this was kind of a thing when Junior was also coming up, but London is still very young. Like, he's not even 21, I don't think. Like, he's a very young guy. There's still plenty of time for him to develop. You don't want to rush him and get him into a bad spot. And so I think there's still time for him to kind of grow, get himself acclimated with that C4 roster. And again, something similar to Junior, where you give him some big time matches where he could continue to develop and blossom. And then ultimately you kind of look to the future and say, hey, that could be a guy that could be a future C4 champion. But in this case, we got Evil Uno winning. And you mentioned Vanna Black as well. She got big eliminations. She got one over Vanessa Craven, which was got a pretty big reaction. And there was another person that she eliminated that all of a sudden I'm blanking on, but that was also a big reaction to her eliminating that person. And so clearly that's somebody that C4 has an eye on in terms of having her booked more in the future. I can tell you, I've gotten to call a couple of Vanna Black's matches and seen some of her matches, and she continues to get better coming out of Hamilton area, and just continues to work a whole bunch of territories and indies to continue to get herself better. So obviously culminating in some spots at C4. But yeah, this Battle Royal, the Royal Rumble style match, if you will, it was fun. They filled it in pretty well. I didn't feel like it dragged it at any point. They were able to fill it well with some different spots. There were some comedy spots as well in there that I think also appealed to the crowd. So it was a fun little match.
So let me get in here. Evil Uno winning, I understand all the things that you just said, but as a wrestling fan, is it a good thing to have a 26-person battle royal for what is really like a Royal Rumble, supposed to be? Sorry, Von Vertigo, but you get a title shot. Does anybody think that Von Vertigo? I love Von Vertigo, by the way. Does anybody think that Evil Uno can beat Junior Benito for the title?
I think it's interesting because I've said on this show that usually AEW talents go over if they're booked on independence. There's a rule that AEW talents have to go over. So there is a chance. I'm interested to see how they kind of book around that. If it is going to continue to be this one-on-one match. Zach,
and I know you're on Tall Can Audio. You're a big superstar. You're a radio guy in Belleville. I get it. I don't want a PC answer. Do you see Evil Uno as a C4 champion?
I could see it.
You think it'll happen?
I'm unsure. I genuinely am.
Okay. Your last $50, which is like 8 shifts in Belleville.
Right.
For you.
Yeah.
Your last $50, you putting it on Benito or Evil Uno?
If I have a gun to my head, I'm probably picking Benito.
No, it's $50. It's not a gun to your head. I'm not violent. Okay.
Probably Benito. I'd probably put the $50 on Benito.
Thank you.
But it's Tanner, a very reluctant one. Like, I would have to think about it.
Okay. You just thought about it and you told me Benito.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a debate back and forth.
Okay, Tanner, do you think your last $50, you picking Benito or Evil Uno?
Oh, Benito, 100%. But right. I think no matter who won that Rumble, I don't see anyone taking the title off of Benito next month when this match is happening. My prediction going into this, to be honest, was that Twiggy was going to come out last and win from there.
Been amazing.
You see, if that happened, maybe. But otherwise, I don't think anyone's taking that title off Benito anytime soon.
Okay, but the point is that in professional wrestling, when you have a match that is that long with 26 people and somebody earns the chance to go against the champion, should you not believe that there's a chance that that person could win? I don't know. If someone wins the Royal Rumble, do you think they have a chance to beat the champion at WrestleMania? I do.
Yep.
I think they should subscribe to that philosophy. It might be a really good match. My last $50 and the gun to Zach's head, I'm picking Junior Benito. And Evil Uno is not carrying the C4 championship.
Is this like when Steve Austin had the gun to Vince McMahon and it then rolled out and said bang, like Looney Tunes style?
Yeah, but it's more of a DDP bang for me.
I see.
Yeah. Look, I just don't like the philosophy. And I respect Evil Uno, and I really like him, and I really like, you know how much I love C4. I'm just saying, having somebody win in professional wrestling when they earn a title shot by beating, in this case, 25 other people, when you don't believe for 1 second that that person can win the title after winning this match to earn the chance, I don't like that philosophy. Is that fair?
Yes. But I think both of you are underselling just what the implications of an AEW contracted wrestler being on the show.
Uno's lost before.
Yeah, but he's lost in multi-person matches where he doesn't have to take
Young
pins.
Jay Lee beat him like 4 months ago.
I don't know that Evil Uno has the presence, and I get the AEW contract thing. I get the technicality of what you're saying, Zach. Yeah. But I don't think
receipts here for Zach.
I don't think that, you know, it's not like somebody else. It's not like Eddie Kingston coming and then losing. If Evil Uno loses a C4 match, I don't think anyone really cares. And I don't think AEW really cares, to be honest with you. And he can win the match by disqualification or countout or something, some screw job finish. He could technically win without winning the title.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's not going to lose clean if he is going to lose, is what I'm saying. They're very particular about that stuff. And I
understand. But what I'm saying, he's not carrying the C4 championship around. So I don't know about booking somebody to win the match that has no chance in people's eyes to actually win the title. That's all. That's not in C4. That's in all philosophy of any wrestling promotion. Money in the Bank. Somebody wins Money in the Bank, eliminate Damian Sandow from the conversation, and then, or Otis, do we have any chance of winning a title? No. My man Austin Theory won. You know how much I like him, Zach. Tanner, what else on the show did you like?
I think the all Ottawa matchup here, Sheldon Jean and Stu Grayson had a pretty good match.
Yes.
I quite enjoyed that one. Pretty back and forth. Again, I don't think this one would have looked out of place on American television. Probably second or third flirting in that area for match of the night. Really good one. I enjoyed it. Stu picked up the win in the end. Crowd was pretty hot for it. Yeah, solid back and forth matchup there.
Yeah, I thought this was a tremendous match too. It's really cool to see Sheldon continue to get better. And like you mentioned, it was an all Ottawa matchup. So it's kind of cool to see those two caliber of talents. Both are, one currently on TV, one was on TV, having a match like that in Ottawa, in the Little Italy area, of course, and having a really good match. I thought those two definitely showed some chemistry.
Stu's just insane. Every time I see him wrestle at C4, it blows my mind that AEW cut him.
Yeah, I agree. I know that there's people in the industry as well that are really big Stu Grayson guys, and we're hoping for more from Stu in AEW. And obviously that didn't end up coming to fruition, and other things kind of came up when it came to Stu Grayson and what happened in AEW at the end. But it is unfortunate, but I think for the indies and what he's been able to contribute locally, especially with training wrestlers as well, is such a big plus, and I think that's going to continue to be felt.
Okay. Any other shots or any other thoughts about the show before we move on?
Another I kind of enjoyed. Josh Alexander coming to C4. He's still former C4 champion. He comes around once a year or so still. Usually it's Fighting Back or like one of their bigger shows. It's happened 2 or 3 times since I've been paying attention to C4. Every single time without fail, it just happens to be the one show out of the year that I end up missing. So I was really excited to see Josh Alexander in person, and he lived up to it. So good, man.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed his matchup with James Stone, who I think doesn't get his flowers enough around here as one of the best guys on the scene. They had a really good match, really hard hitting, really, really nasty superplex spot that I really enjoyed, but Josh picked up the win there. And I thought it was a really good Haas fight, really good match. So awesome seeing Josh Alexander in person for the first time.
Yeah, I'm a big Josh Alexander fan. We've had him on the show here before as well, and he's just tremendous. I still feel that he fits a lot of my sensibilities when it comes to being a pro wrestling fan. Just no nonsense in the ring, working a match. Having said that, I think they could have shaved a couple of minutes off of this a little bit because it was starting to get a little long for me. But having said that, it was really cool to see Josh Alexander in there. And James Stone is a guy that they continue to rely on in C4 and be a central figure in that promotion.
So overall thoughts on where they're going and what's happening in September?
Well, I could say quickly before we get into that, I also wanted to mention that 6-man tag between Von Vertigo's team versus Gabriel Fuerz's team was so good. I loved that match. It was just, I thought the spots were so creative and it was high pace and high speed. And I really enjoyed that match. It was right up there for me for match of the night. It was really, really good. And then obviously I'll leave it up to Tanner after that. But I think obviously we got the Evil Uno Benito match set for in October, I think is when the next show is.
It is Friday, September 20th. C4, September. You're next.
There you go. But yes, they got that set up, and it looks like they're going to continue this Fuerza and Vertigo program as well. They've got some good building blocks there, Tanner.
Yeah, I agree. I also enjoyed that 6-man, but I'm really looking forward to once those two get their hands on each other one-on-one. So I think they've got great chemistry. Obviously, having been partners for so long. But I think over the past year, both of them have really stepped up and had some really big matches in their own rights. They did that whole angle where they had to split up as a team and went on their own, pick up some pretty big victories over some pretty big names in the separate companies. And now coming back together, breaking up. I think these two, once they get their hands on each other in a one-on-one match, it's going to be spectacular. I'm a big Vertigo guy. I think he should have got his title shot. And I think he's a guy that I really like to see face Benito over the next couple months. But yeah, I think we pretty much hit on every match there. I also enjoyed Trent Seven and Matthew St. Jacques. That was kind of a last minute addition to the card. I'm pretty sure it was the last match announced, but I'm a big Trent Seven guy. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And like you mentioned, Friday, September 20th, Preston Event Center, C4, you're next. They did confirm that night it's going to be Evil Uno, Junior Benito for the title. And front and center on the poster is AEW's The Butcher making his return.
I got to mention quickly a Trent Seven story I heard. So he got the special door treatment from our man, Tim the Doorman. And I was told that when he saw it was actually a table this time in which he put on the display. And Seven loved it, but he's like, man, I don't really want to go through a table. And Saint Jacques apparently is like, I don't care, put me through the table. It doesn't matter to me. I'll go through it. Just straight up volunteered and said, yeah, I'll go through the table.
Speaking of that, maybe they should stick to doors.
Well, I didn't see it. You might have had a better vantage point. From what I heard, it sounded like they missed the table on the first try.
Yeah, it looked pretty gnarly.
So they missed the table on the first try. They went and did another bump the second try in through the table. But other than that little mishap, I actually enjoyed that match as an opener. It really got things off to a hot start. So
I saw the table done by the doorman and looked fantastic. If somebody doesn't want to go through the door or the table, time to not bring them in anymore.
Zach will go through it for them.
Well, hold on.
We'll take one for the team.
No, it's not volunteering, Zach. Tanner and I are going to put you
through a
the
table.
Ooh.
Boy.
Okay.
Dudley Boys style.
I'll do them Young Jay Lee dive off the balcony there.
Oh, boy.
Well, what will happen is we will put you through the table, Zach.
Okay.
And then we will show you the door.
I see.
On This Is Wrestling. For the new co-host.
A great contributor.
A great contributor.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, he is an amazing contributor. Okay. Please tell me Goldberg's not coming. You're next.
No, the Butcher.
Okay, that's good. Just the your next thing. I hear the word next and Goldberg comes and it just ruins everything for me. Okay, so as we now sit here and we are 6 days away from All In. We're going to do a preview later in the week, but Tanner, to I guess sort of understand what you're thinking, and we're all going to get together except for Zach.
Wow.
We don't want him.
That's news
there.
to me.
No, it's actually not news to you. You're invited and you declined. Tell the people the truth.
What do you mean? That's now I'm being gaslit here. I don't know what's going on.
Did tell the people the truth?
What?
Were you invited?
Oh, you're talking about the event Sunday. I thought you were talking about the preview show. Like, yeah, I won't be able to go to the event on Sunday. No,
I said we're all getting together for All In.
Right. My
Except
bad.
for Zach.
I thought you were making a joke about our preview show. I was like, what? Am I not all of a sudden not on the preview show?
I don't make jokes. I'm not very funny, Zach. But
well, you said it, not me, but we'll ask.
Yeah, I know, but you're the one who laughs all the time at me. So
it's true. I am very giggly.
Right. So we're all going to get together, Tanner, except for Zach on Sunday to watch All In because he wasn't invited.
I understand. I wasn't there last year. But there was some sort of an incident involving some wooden utensils.
There was
being brought up, and I've been told that if Zach were to show up, they'd be going in his forehead like John Moxley with some wooden skewers.
Yeah.
That is correct because the things that he brought, if you tried to jam it in your head, they would have just crumbled in your hand.
In my defense, though, Le Champion was using them in a horrible way. Like, he just kept forcing them in. Like, he knew it was going to break to try and emphasize how bad they were to me. So
first of all, describing or trying to make your point with Le Champion, not a good idea. Never is going to really be the person that we all go, oh, yeah. It was his fault. And then second of all, Zach, like they literally crumbled out of the box. It was just it was unbelievable.
It was I didn't think they would be that bad. I really didn't. Like I thought I was going to be environmentally friendly and use the wooden utensils, but I didn't realize just how bad of a quality of a product they were. So lesson noted for next time.
It was almost as good of an excuse as your Hornswoggle costume not showing up.
I still have the receipt on that.
Yeah, we got a lot of receipts too. Tanner, your excitement level going into the weekend and the match that you're looking forward to the most.
Yeah, it's fairly high. Biggest AEW show of the year. I think last year's really delivered. And obviously getting together with the big group there at Ben's house, I was going to make the experience even better. I think the one match is the main event. Biggest Bryan Danielson guy. If this is it for him and this is actually it and we're not getting, an Undertaker or a Shawn Michaels or who have you, there might be some tears, but I think it's going to be a great match between him and Swerve.
Okay. So just so people know, if you are a fan of This Is Wrestling and you're listening and you say, how come these guys always get together and don't invite us? Message us and we might invite you. We actually might consider bringing you to sit in Zach's place.
Wow.
So if you're listening and you want to come, send a message and we'll try and make it happen. There's room.
Yeah, I'll provide you with the wooden utensils as well.
Yeah.
Really get the full experience.
So there's room. So send a message to Zach, send a message to me, and we'll try and get you there. It's just that simple. Tanner, do you believe that Bryan Danielson will wrestle his last match come Sunday?
I do not. So
then is Bryan Danielson going to be the AEW World Champion?
I think so. That's kind of where I've landed. I think he's talked so much about not wanting it that he's kind of diverted us in a way for so long. And I think he's still got a lot left, and they're going to give him a bit of a short run with the title. I know some people have been talking heel turn. I don't think they're going to go that way. I think just the feel good moment. Bryan gets the title, gets to ride off into the sunset on his own terms, I imagine, when he drops it. But no, I don't think we're going to be seeing the end of Bryan Danielson on Sunday.
Okay, Zach, we've talked a lot about it. We will certainly on the preview show coming up later on in the week. But I'm starting to get that itch that I love about pro wrestling, which is a card, not unlike SummerSlam, that I'm looking forward to so much, not only to the show, but to the review afterwards. It's actually, all jokes aside, I'm very much looking forward to it. And we're 6 days away, and it's still a while to get there. But this is a card that I just want to ask both of you. And Zach, I know what your answer is going to be, I think, because as a pure wrestling fan, we were going to get the Bucks and FTR again. And then they added the Acclaimed.
Yeah. If only it was a ladder match,
Oh, we're getting that too.
We are getting a ladder match.
Don't even get me started on that.
Adding the Acclaim to this title match All In. Is it like a bad idea or is it a super bad idea? Those are your only two choices.
I will contain myself for a moment and just let Tanner answer first.
Okay.
Oh man. It's not great, I'll tell you that.
I tried to find one positive in it, and I still can't.
Maybe they'll get like injured walking down to the ring. It's a long ramp.
But like what?
The Young Bucks will run them over in a car or something on their way down. And
what are they going to do? Because they're either just going to be in the match and waste everybody's time and not win, or God forbid they win. Either case, it's a terrible scenario. No?
Unless they're just in there to take the pin, and then we get the Bucks and FTR again down the line. But I don't know why you would blow it off versus actually having it like at your biggest show of the year at the stadium in Wembley.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Like that scenario makes sense to me if you're leading up to All In and you have a show 2 weeks before, but not doing it at All In. I'm really confused by this. And it's one of the only stains I can find.
Yeah.
On this show.
This feels like we got to get them on the card mentality. Like we got to try and get as many people on the card. You know how WWE with WrestleManias in years past, where it's like we got to get as many people on the card as possible. I think with the Acclaimed, they're a team that Tony Khan holds dearly because they are a homegrown tag team made in AEW. And I think in his mind, he wants to showcase that on AEW's biggest show of the year in All In. But, I've made it pretty clear how I feel about the Acclaim, mainly Max Caster, but the Acclaimed act in general. And my only sort of potential positive takeaway is that FTR and the Acclaimed have some chemistry with each other and they can have good matches. Bucks and FTR, I know some are higher or lower on their feud. Some don't hit as much for other fans. I don't mind their the matches that they've had together. The Bucks and the Acclaim don't really have that great of chemistry, so It's either going to be this is going to be a really good match or this is going to be a fine match on the card. I'd like to think the caliber of the Bucks and FTR would be able to carry this into a good match. But
yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying, is that this match, no matter how it turns out, even if it's good, like I'm going to say with the other two teams in there and those guys just like riding their coattails, it still can be good. It's not that I'm going to walk away from this match saying it's horrible. What I am going to do, though, is probably at the end go, would it have been better to just have the Bucks and FTR fight?
Yeah.
And my answer right now is yes. And I don't know how that's going to change. Maybe they change my mind, but it's right now it's at like 1%, the chance of that happening. And I just don't like that going in. Even if they have a really good match, would just the Bucks and FTR have been better?
For me, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. By the way, I was in Hot Topic today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Versage and Hot Topic. That's a visual.
Used to hang out there regularly.
Oh, there you go.
Until they stopped selling wrestling shirts.
I was actually there yesterday as well. I don't know if this is the same one, but
Which one?
I noticed that too. I was at Bayshore.
As was I. Tanner, we need to communicate.
Jeez, I guess so.
Holy cow. And I saw 3 AEW shirts.
Well, you know that wall that they've got with all the shirts. I was looking. I saw one The Rock shirt.
The Rock.
And then I saw a few Cody ones too. I didn't even see any AEW.
I know, but that's because you didn't look at the clearance rack. That is the ones that are not on the wall. Now, I'm going to tell you that these are older school AEW shirts. And that's all I'll say. There were 3 shirts. You get 1 guess each.
Okay, on all 3 shirts.
Yeah.
I am going to guess one was an AEW logo shirt.
Okay.
I'm going to guess one was a Young Bucks shirt. And I'm going to guess one is a Chris Jericho shirt.
Okay. Tanner?
Yeah, I'll go Jericho as well. More specifically, a little bit of the bubbly. I'll say, I guess, Kenny Omega and maybe the CM Punk one.
Okay. I am going to, as we speak, I'm going to text over. Oh, I didn't even take a picture of the third one. I can't even believe I didn't do that. So I've texted you both. This is live. This is how we do it here. I've texted you both 2 of the shirts.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you that the other one was the Acclaimed. Now it was a medium, and I used to fit in that like 30 years ago. No, 25 years ago. But an older Acclaimed shirt for like when they first came on the scene.
Right.
Do you guys have the other 2 now?
I do. Yes.
I wish the Orange Cassidy orange shirt was bigger, or because I would have bought it. I do not wish the last one. Tanner, tell us what the other one was.
Well, I guess CM Punk. I was kind of close.
You were.
Yeah, you're
CMFTR shirt.
CMFTR shirt. Terrible shirt. With 3 guys that I liked, especially at the time.
Yeah. In the Brett colors.
Yeah. Terrible.
The kids would say that aged like milk.
Yeah. It certainly did.
But I was impressed. Now look, it's a clearance rack. They don't really sell them anymore. That's fine. But I was impressed. The Acclaimed, Orange Cassidy, and CMFTR. I was pumped up about that. That's it. That's the entire story.
There you go.
Yeah.
The Orange Cassidy one, like now that I see it, that's like, I probably should have guessed that one. But I was thinking, what would be on clearance at Hot Topic?
Yeah, I know. So, and also showing Tanner's, it's not up on the wall. It must not be here. Tanner, you gotta look underneath the sheets sometimes, okay?
Yeah.
Underneath
it's funny because
the
the last time I went to Hot Topic, it wasn't the same one, but I went to the clearance rack and I ended up getting a Hook shirt, and I bought my girlfriend a Danhausen.
Incredible. And then you didn't go to the section this time.
No, that was just a different Hot Topic. I was at Lime Ridge in Hamilton.
Oh, the hammer. Love the hammer. Okay, so Tanner, your expectations are very high for All In coming up. I know that, Zach and I will do the preview. You're going to be there on Sunday. Other than the title match, what else are you looking forward to on the card?
I mean, it's hard not to get excited about MJF and Ospreay. Mm-hmm. Probably your two biggest names. I know they're not going to be main eventing, but those are probably your two guys. The faces of the company. That'll be fun. Jack Perry and Darby should be a solid match. I guess we're overdue for a ladder match. Should be interesting to see who that wild card is.
Are we overdue for a ladder match?
I know.
Did you really say that?
Okay, so
what?
we also have the trios championship, and there's going to be 12 people in the ring.
Yes,
in that match. So we got the Patriarchy, we got the House of Black, we got the Bang Bang Gang, and we have the Hurt Business.
It's a wild card.
It's a wild card, yeah.
You know who that could have been?
Hold on. Did you not hear me? The Hurt Business?
Bobby Lashley and
I could see that, yeah.
Is MVP Ricochet in a state to wrestle in a ladder match?
I did see that they had put they put a copyright name or someone like that filed for it.
They did. And let's go Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and Ricochet.
Okay.
No MVP.
No,
you know
MVP.
who I wouldn't mind?
Who?
Big powerhouse Hobbs.
Ooh.
See, there you go.
That
would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Ricochet.
Yeah.
Or Shelton. Okay. I'd be all right with Shelton, but yeah, Ricochet would be cool.
All right.
I like that. I don't hate that. I don't know.
Any other ideas for wild card?
Death Triangle?
Oh, yes. Give it to me. Inject it into my veins.
Swerve, everybody, is saying that the Lucha Brothers are heading to WWE only for them to show up in this ladder match with Death Triangle.
Oh, man, that would be amazing.
Another ladder match,
Tanner,
though.
I'm doubting you. Yeah, another ladder match. I'm doubting you have any WWE thoughts at this point. But I do want to hear quickly what you thought of SummerSlam, or like where they're going, or just angles in general from the WWE that you might be excited for.
Excited for? Oh.
Or okay, let me rephrase. Where you think they're going, regardless of how you feel about it.
They're going somewhere, that's for sure. I'll kind of echo
going
Zach.
Somewhere, folks. They're going somewhere.
They're transitioning from a pro wrestling company to a TikTok company or a Instagram Reels company. I'll definitely echo that.
Yeah.
I guess Bash is coming up, so I mean, maybe I'll watch that. I didn't watch SummerSlam.
See, that's exactly what you've done to poor Tanner. Poor Tanner has listened to you.
Yeah.
Just berate this company and finding no positive to even want to watch. Look what you've done to him.
I don't feel bad about that. No one should watch that SummerSlam show.
Oh, it's still funny because I mean, I don't want to share how much I spent to go to the last PLE they put out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Money in the Bank. At least
that's kind of why I thought you might even check in after going and doing all that. But
I had other plans that night, and I was like, am I going to watch it afterwards? No, I'll just check the results.
You didn't want to see angles all night for 4 hours?
No, not really, man. Like I said, I just opened the WWE TikTok page and I scrolled for about 15 seconds, and I guess I got everything I needed from that.
This is my fault. Tanner and Zach, I apologize, folks. I'm leading them down a path later on in the evening where we don't need to go. Tanner, always appreciate you coming on the program. That's for sure. And maybe get you as we'll all see you on Sunday, and maybe we'll get you on Monday for an all-in recap, perhaps?
Yeah, that could be on the cards for sure.
Well, I know, Zach, that when I go to a place like Ben's, and anybody else that wants to come, send Zach or me a message. I just know that there's at least one person there I'm going to beat on the pick'em card. So it's nice that Tanner actually shows up.
Whoa.
There you go.
The reigning defending champ is here.
Yes, I know, because you picked the color. I understand that you picked the color of tights that won you an event. And that's claiming to be a champion.
Me and Swerve are tight, all right? I sent him a DM and I was like, hey, man, I need you coming out in gold tights here tonight. You're going to win me the pick'em.
Sounds like some insider trading going on.
I know, and he ran right over to the seamstress. He was like, hey, we're going to get this guy the win.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Don't hate the player, hate the game, Lee.
Exactly.
No, if you're going to win, it's an incredible way to win, actually. How'd you win? Well, it wasn't really anything to do with it. I picked the color of his tights. But
it came down to game 7 overtime, and I pulled out the win there.
A win's a win.
Exactly.
Game 7 overtime. Is it Chris Kunitz, Tanner? It is.
Right? All right. Listen.
Yeah. See,
I like it.
Sorry,
yes.
I need to bring the fanboy down just a little bit.
Oh, heat. We need more heat. More heat.
Yeah, that doesn't involve you, Zach.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Man, Lee, I thought we were tight. I thought we had something.
No, we
here.
are. Hey, co-host. Remember that.
This is like me listening to Leon Tolkien when he was going after Matt. This is how it
maybe
feels
I'll
like
be
right
swinging over there next and cracking open some alcohol-free IPAs and taking some shots.
That's it. That's the life we lead. Except I do the alcoholic ones. That's all. But that's okay. Each to his own. And I got the call from Ben. Hey, what can we bring? It's going to be a potluck. And I said, look, anything you need, doesn't matter. You send me what. And he's like, can you bring some non-alcoholic beverages? I'm like, sign me up. So juicy IPA, non-alcoholic, just so we can all have one in Zach's honor.
Wonderful.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. Zach, you and I will get together later on this week to do an official all-in preview of the event. We'll do that after Dynamite takes place on Wednesday. And really looking forward to this week. It should be great. I know that, a lot of people already over in England and getting ready for the events. And so I'm looking, this to me is another look. There's high expectations for this show, right? So can AEW meet them? We'll see if they can. I'm looking forward to it. I hope they can, but it's still a question mark with some of the things that they've done. So always good to talk to you, Tanner. We'll see you on Sunday. And Zach, we will definitely talk to you later in the week.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
4 co-hosts. Zach McGibbon. No, Zach's a host. I shouldn't say that. Co-host Tanner Reil and host Zach McGibbon. I'm Lee Versage. Thanks again for listening to This is Wrestling.